Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today. And we're going to be helping you understand all the trading setup, the strategies that you need to follow and trade today, and all the factors that can move the markets today as well. We are bang in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday and we are sandwiched between two expiries, Sensex yesterday and tomorrow we will have the Nifty weekly expiry as well. Remember, till yesterday, we'd been seeing extreme amount of sideways, lackluster, consolidated move on the markets. They had been very, very quiet, barring just the last half an hour, 40 minutes of the trade, when large caps really pulled up the markets to fight back in the final hour. And we actually did see that the index managed to close above 25,500 mark. And of course, the majority of the market will be tested on how it really reacts to the new developments that have happened overnight, where Donald Trump in the US has said that there will be no more extensions past the new August 1 deadline for all the countries that have got fresh letters with higher tariffs. Now, Donald Trump has also called for a 50% tariff on copper imports now. That's going to be important to see. They are saying that copper tariff will be put in place late July or by August 1st again. And their idea is to bring back copper production back home. And that's what they're focusing on. Remember, it was steel and aluminum. Now it's also copper that's going to be attracting about 50% tariffs as well. Now, we did see, as a reaction, copper futures rallied 17%, largest intraday gain since 1988 that we've seen. And they ended about 10% higher. So it was all about the commodity copper move overnight. And of course, beyond that, Donald Trump did also say that he will also offer pharma companies at least 1 year grace period before applying a 200% tariff. So the talk about never seen before kind of tariffs is finally coming in from Donald Trump. A 200% tariff is what he wants to apply to the pharma imports, but he's willing to give a 1 to 1.5 year period to what he calls to the countries to get their act together on pharma. Now, on the BRICS nations also, Trump has repeated his BRICS warnings and again talking about an additional 10% tariff for just being in the BRICS nations. So definitely we'll have to wait and watch to find out as to how these developments get a reaction from the markets overnight. There was not much of a sharp reaction on either ways. Markets globally are in a wait and watch mode because they have been now probably getting used to of this tariff talk. From April, we've been seeing flyaway statements coming in from Donald Trump. There is also this thought about a taco trade. And of course, all of this we will be discussing with our guest today. Flat with a mixed close for the US markets is what we saw overnight in the trading session. As far as the Dow Jones is concerned, it plummeted about 165 points or just about 0.3% in trade. We did see the S&P 500 also close flat at 6,225. Nasdaq managed just a marginal green towards the close end of the show as well. Now, when we actually see the Asian markets, they're again feeling mixed, digesting the latest tariff announcements. Nikkei quoting down about 72 points or just about 0.1, 0.2% down in trade. You're looking at Hang Seng. In fact, that's lost a bit of a more ground, over 1% loss that can be seen on this one. In fact, GIFT Nifty futures are indicating to a muted start again. We are going to be seeing as to how the markets really shape up going forward from here. But let's welcome our guest with us. We have Mr. Gaurang Shah joining in, Senior Vice President at Geojit Investments, now with us on the program. Warm welcome to you, Gaurang. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this conversation again. We are bang in the middle of the week and with statements coming in from Donald Trump on tariffs afresh as well. So he's talking about a 10% additional tariffs on the BRICS nations. He's talking about a 200% tariff on pharma, a 50% tariff on copper as well. And he's also talking about how the deadline will not see any more changes. What's the thought that you have and how do you expect the markets to really react to these fresh tariff announcements that are being made? Gaurang, could you hear me? Okay, I guess there is some connection issue. We'll try and connect back with Gaurang and see if we can hear him and if he can also hear us, and we can get the conversation going in just about a minute. But this certainly is going to be the driving point today. Remember, just as when we were waiting to see that the Indian markets could be hoping to see a fine print of a potential trade deal with the US, today is the day when it was called out initially that July 9 will be the tariff deadline, by when
Hi,
most
I
of the
want to check 1, 2,
countries
3, 4,
should
5,
be
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
expecting to get a deal done. So far, we have 3 to 4 deals that have been announced already by the US, including UK, China, Vietnam. But India is still on the waiting corner at this point in time. Consistently, we have heard from Donald Trump and his government that yes, they're very, very close to cracking a deal with India. What sort of a deal will there be? Will this be a mini deal before the actual agreement is really signed? Remember, there has been a long drawn negotiation between the Indian officials as well as US officials when it comes to the trade announcements and the tariff announcements as well. But right now, it seems that the ball is in US's court, but they are still falling short of announcing any kind of a deal as yet. Today is the deadline, July 9. Gaurang, if you could hear me, wanted to start off with the tariff point with you, and also wanted to get a sense as to what sense do you make of these fresh announcements that have been made by Donald Trump on pharma, especially a 200% tariff, something that he had initially indicated that never seen before kind of tariffs will be coming in. But again, he's willing to give a 1.5 year time frame for that. That's a long time frame. What happens in those 1.5 years is for anybody to take a guess. Copper, they're saying a 50% tariff, additional 10% tariffs on BRICS, including India. What do you make of all of this?
Thank you so much, Sakshi, for having me on the show. First of all, let me apologize. There has been some network issue. It's been fluctuating. I have told my IT guys to check it out. Morning to you and to all the viewers of BTTV. Well, I think this saga needs to end. It started from 2nd of April.
Yes.
And it was supposed to end in another 10-15 days. That was what earlier was told to us by the intelligent president of America, Mr. Donald Trump. And we are virtually in the middle of July. Tariq pe tariq, tariq pe tariq. I mean, I don't know how to look at it, and I believe some yesterday or day before yesterday, some 18 countries were given out tariff. Some were given out love letters by President Trump on tariff. And India, I believe, is waiting for 1st of August because the deal is in working. It's work in progress. So one needs to just wait and watch, Sakshi, honestly, what happens. And honestly, I think it's high time. People are fed up of what, uh, you know, uh, pauses are coming in terms of time frame. Uh, I think markets will definitely give its reaction accordingly. And the fact that there is some kind of buzz in the market that India could be at a much more lower end of the tariff compared to the Southeast Asia Pacific region and peers in the emerging market. So let's wait and watch how the entire thing pans up. But I think, honestly, I think this saga needs to put to an end. And he has to decide. I think this kind of a whimsical mind frame puts all kind of doubts and questions in people's mind.
The saga needs to end, and that's what probably the markets are waiting for. Gaurang, do you see that is perhaps also one reason why Indian stock markets have not really reacted, very, very sharply in the, pre-opening trade today. And also when we look at the global markets as well, it was a quiet trade again on the US markets. Asia also not too much of an impact is being seen. So do you think the markets are actually getting used to of flyaway statements coming in from Trump and, they're just taking it as another day?
I think now the markets have also started to discount what President Trump is saying. So that's the wisdom of the market across the world, Sakshi. And our markets are much more matured, honestly. Despite of all the hell that has broken loose in the last about 3 months, whether it is to do with tariff or whether it is to do with the escalation in the Middle East and now some kind of calm prevailing over there. One more issue in terms of geopolitical needs to resolve is the Russia-Ukraine. And I hope and pray to God that no other geopolitical situation there. If despite of all this thing, despite of crude going to 80, and when it went to 80, people were talking about 100 and $120 a barrel. And the fact of the matter, it is below 70 and closer to $65 a barrel. So despite of all these things, our markets were resilient. We are closer to all-time highs. Sakshi, I always tell people that what are you crying about? Is it that we are closer to all-time lows? or is it that we are closer to all-time highs? And I think the kickoff of earnings tomorrow, TCS will start the earnings season, curtain raiser. And if there is a little bit of a shade better compared to the fourth quarter last financial year, Sakshi, then I think our market should hold out very smartly. And I hope there is no other whimsical dream that comes into the mind of President Trump and he starts saying something. For example, 3 days, 4 days back, he said that anti-American BRICS policy will
Yes.
attract additional 10% tariff.
Yes.
I mean, somebody has to tell that person that he's not the God's answer to this face of earth. I mean, you can't go around with a stick in your hand, treating other countries as spoiled brats. This is what exactly he's behaving like a headmaster. I mean, he needs some kind of wisdom put into himself. Statements, if something ugly doesn't come out from the international front, I think we should hold out quite smartly. 25,500, if it is taken out decisively on closing basis and given close above that, all possibility of 25,700, 800. But I think it will not come immediately. As you were mentioning, there are some expiries lined up. So that may keep markets choppy and volatile. But one thing good that I noticed about the markets actually is the India Volatility Index, India VIX. It is closer to 12.5, if I'm not mistaken, the last that I saw yesterday. So that's a comfort zone. That means volatility is at its lowest level. And I think that should bring in some kind of sanity in the markets.
Right. Let's actually listen into what Donald Trump had to really say overnight on the key points that even Gaurang pointed out, on the BRICS nation, the additional 10% tariff that he's ending out. And of course, we will also be looking at what he did say on the pharma space as well.
Well, if there are ones, we did steel, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
Mention that's copper.
And we did cars. And now, today we're doing copper.
Copper and lumber. What would that tariff be on? The sectional tariff?
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%.
A couple days ago, you issued a new tariff threat to members of the BRICS countries for if they aligned with anti-American policies.
10% charge.
That would be India, Brazil, Russia,
That's right, they have to pay
South Africa.
10% if they're in BRICS. Because BRICS was set up to hurt us. BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir? Or is
Yeah,
that
pretty
if
soon.
they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff, just for that one thing, and they won't be a member long. I thought BRICS was, I said this about a year ago, and it largely broke up. Another country can take over and be the standard, and we're not going to lose the standard. We'll be announcing something very soon on pharmaceuticals. We're going to give people about a year and a half to come in, and after that they're going to be tariffed if they have to bring the pharmaceuticals into the country, the drugs and other things into the country. They're going to be tariffed at a very, very high rate, like 200%. We'll give them a certain period of time to get their act together. But they were all here, now they all left. They went to other places because we allowed, people that sat in this room allowed it to happen. And I don't allow it to happen. The people in this room don't allow it to happen. So we're going to be announcing pharmaceuticals, chips, and various couple of other things.
There you heard it. A 10% additional tariff on the BRICS nations is what he has pointed out, because he believes that BRICS was set to hurt US and of course on copper and pharma. These are the other two spaces that he has talked about. Gaurang, on pharma, a 200% tariff with a 1.5 year time frame to really prepare the countries and the policies what they would want to do. 200% tariff, never seen before. How would you really look at it?
Actually, one common sense question that one has to ask is, finally, who's going to pay for all this? It is the US citizens, right? And where on earth are you going to bring in that kind of capacity to, according to him, that MAGA thing that he keeps on shouting? In 1.5 years, are you going to create that kind of manufacturing capability and capacity? especially with reference to pharma, wherein you need a lot of complex technologies, and you need intelligence, and you need formulations, and you need experienced workforce. Labor is not cheap in America, Sakshi. That all of us know. He also knows it. So how are you going to make it cheap compared to the rest of the world, right? Whether it is India or China or anywhere else in the world where America exports its pharmaceutical requirements, eventually one question you have to ask is, when he does all these things, who is going to pay for it finally? It is not going to be the countries. They are not going to bring down the prices because it will not be viable. They will have to increase the prices of the products that lands in America and which is consumed by American citizens. So it's a big one. America is highly dependent, and it relies a hell lot on imports of crucial medicines. America is known for obesity problems that all of us know. America is known for heart-related, diseases amongst masses. There is highest number of drug addiction in America. Common sense tells you that ask a question, who's going to pay for it? And I think American citizens will possibly have to brace for real tough times. Whatever he's doing in that, that what we called it, something like a big, beautiful bill. Nobody sees it like that in America as far as individuals are concerned. And of course, now with this tariffs on pharma and copper and aluminium and cars and lumber and specialty chemicals, let's wait and watch. I'm surprised to see that he's given that window. If he's so confident, he should do it ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, got that. So therefore, of course, it's a wait and watch mode that we will have, and you don't see a sharp knee-jerk downward reaction on pharma. It's just about a 0.25% down, 22,109. Remember, they have been slow and steady in the market so far. Markets have also settled in the pre-open trades now, just about 7 points lower in trade today. So that's something that we'll be watching out for. Gaurang, you did point out IT and TCS because tomorrow is the onset of the Q1 earnings. Talk to us about what's your expectation from the big bang IT numbers this time, large cap vis-a-vis the mid cap names. Are we going to see some more uptick? After Q4, we did see all across the board some signs of improvement on the stock prices, at least for all these stocks. What happens after Q1?
Well, so honestly, with IT, you need to go with a little bit of subdued expectation, to be very honest. And especially TCS, they don't give forward-looking statement. They're very conservative.
Yes.
But I believe in one thing, overall, that first quarter earnings for India corporate for this new financial year could be better than what we've seen in the fourth and the third quarter of last financial year. With respect to IT, given the headwinds, given the news, given the noise, given the unfortunate statements that has been coming out of the Oval Office, there will be a little bit of uncertainty, Sakshi, at least in the near to midterm, because the reliable and dependency on US related clients, billing, ticket size, revenues, fluctuation in INR dollar, which could impact the net profitability margin, etc. But overall, I don't look at, see, one thing I always say, Sakshi, is that any sector or any company, however small, medium, large or MNC company, any company can face difficult times in the short to medium term because of situations that evolve more so on the international front and less so on the domestic front. IT, since America is a huge dependence for Indian IT companies, it may have short to medium term speed breakers or jerks or turbulence. But long term, as a sector, we remain positive. And before I give any stock specific recommendations, Sakshi, I'll give a disclosure. Whatever long term recommendations that I'll be sharing with you on your show, these are all part of our research fundamental team. Our company, Geojit or I, do not have any personal any financial interest or any conflict of interest, but we give advice on similar lines to our clients. They might hold their position from a long-term point of view. So to answer your question on TCS, well, we are positive on TCS. Our team is positive, and we've been having a positive coverage on TCS from a long-term point of view.
Okay, so that's the IT, and ahead of earnings, what could be the expectations, and on TCS as well, the stance that Gaurang has shared. Beyond IT sector also, what's your overall expectation from Q1? You did say that there could be some signs of mild improvement over the last quarter. Are there any specific pockets that you believe there could be some outperformance coming in?
Outperformance, I believe, if I am right, the capital goods, defense, power, cement, these are some of the pockets, and banking and finance, entire banking and finance, whether it is private sector, public sector, diversified NBFCs with the kind of Q1 business updates that we are getting. I think that should be also in a sweet spot.
Okay. What's your stance on the auto space today? Tata Motors has come up with a business update. Global wholesale sales are down by 9% at 2.99 lakh units. Commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles, and even JLR have seen 6, 10, and 11% downtick over last year as well. What's the overall sense that you have on autos, and on Tata Motors, what would your call be?
So again, we are positive on most of the auto names, whether it is Tata Motors or whether it is M&M, Maruti, Ashok Leyland, Electra Green Tech, Bajaj Auto, TVS Motors, Eicher Motor, Escorts Kubota, all these, the Hero MotoCorp, we are positive. The only problem is, month-on-month numbers have been an issue. That's not absolutely, deniable, which may impact the Q1 numbers. And of course, the statements made on the auto sector as far as tariff-related concerns are there. So, like I said, like IT, there could be headwinds short to medium term for the auto pack. But long term, I definitely feel that it's one sector that you should definitely keep your eyes on.
Definitely keep an eye out on as far as the auto space is concerned. It's 9:14, and we will be waiting by to see how the market starts to take. If I have to ask you, Gaurang, to name one sector that you would be bullish on for the second half of the calendar year, which would be that one sector?
And this is like you're putting a gun on my temple, Sakshi. So if I have to put, I think banking and finance, to be very honest, because credit growth is going to come through. We are on a lower interest trajectory. Asset quality has been improving. Provisionings are coming back. So if I have to put one particular sector as a highlight, then I think banking. And of course, with aspirations of India becoming the next $1 trillion economy, becoming a large manufacturing hub, support from the government, lower interest rates, outlook being positive. So banking finance should be entire, private sector, public sector, and diversified NBFCs.
Okay, got that. So hold that thought, Gaurang. We'll quickly read up the markets. They've started to take slightly on the back foot. You can actually see a start about 8, 9 odd points lower as far as the Nifty is concerned. Sensex also starting on the back foot, 25,507, although on the Nifty right now. When we look at the other key indices, the Nifty Bank and the financial services also starting a tad lower in trade today. You can actually see the Nifty Bank just 1/10% lower, financial services 0.1% lower as well as the kickstart the session today. Although small caps, I do see some green, 2/10% higher amidst the broader markets that could be seeing some action on the positive side. The NSE advances are 1116 to declines of 524. That actually puts the market breadth towards the positive side, and we are near to 2:1 kind of a ratio as far as the gains to the losses are concerned. In terms of the Nifty gainers, you have HUL that's about 1% higher. Asian Paints, that's above 2,500 odd mark, 0.6% up. Bharti Airtel, Power Grid, IndusInd Bank. These are the pockets that are also holding up as far as the Nifty movers are concerned. Today's move, you actually see even the broader markets that are holding up, both mid and small caps now. Banking movers, IndusInd Bank, Canara Bank, AU Small Finance Bank, Federal Bank, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Bank, showing us some green ticks. On the lower end on the Nifty, you have some IT names. You have Wipro slightly lower. You have some pharma names, Dr. Reddy's that's lower. HCL Tech, Infosys within the IT pack that's lower. L&T that's slightly on the back foot as well. But FMCG stocks that kick-started their move in the last couple of sessions, you can see an improvement there. Even the paint majors like Asian Paints that are also hovering higher in trade at this point in time. All right, viewers, what we'll do is we'll also welcome Prashant Tapsi, Senior Vice President Research Analyst at Mehta Equities, to join in now. Prashant, help us understand what would you do with the market opening today? Is it going to pan out to be another lackluster day of trade? Wait and watch mode continues?
I think the way how last 3-4 days markets have behaved, we will be in the same scenario because we don't have a clear direction from the Trump tariff headlines. So that would be simply clearly creating a lot of volatility. But again, Indian markets undertones are very much strong. I think every dip could be a buy opportunity for Indian markets because we are very much near to the deadline of the 90 days, and Trump will be giving a lot of his volatile news headlines through its tweaks. So I think overall the markets remains very positive. A 100-200 point dip in any case of scenario, one should have a very positive view. In terms of technicals, again, 25,200 can be a clear support for the market, and anything below this, we may even cross 25,000. On the higher side, again, 25,650 should be a resistance for the market, and in any case, we close above this, we are going ahead of this hurdle of term tariff and focusing more on the earnings, the way how Kotak has delivered a better than expected deposit growth. So that will keep the banking and financial markets very much in action.
Absolutely. And Kotak is one bank that you constantly talked about on our show as well in your previous interactions. We'll keep an eye out on that bank as well. Pharma stocks, it's a mixed start. You can see Cipla, Lupin starting higher, Oro Pharma starting higher, but Dr. Reddy's, Sun Pharma, starting on the back foot. Zydus Life also starting on the back foot at this point in time. That's as far as the pharma names are concerned. But you can actually see just mild weakness there. Union Bank from the banking space is starting 4.5% lower after the Q1 update has actually come in, and that's impacted some sentiments there. But HUL from the FMCG space is higher by 1.2%. Positive brokerage houses updates coming in on this one. Let me get Gaurang to speak about FMCG, which we haven't discussed for a long time with him. Gaurang, FMCG, are things turning in favor for the sector? The big laggard of a space, the beaten down space, do you think is it poised to now start to move higher in trade?
So Sakshi, our understanding is that there are a couple of triggers. You need to give me a couple of minutes to answer this question.
Absolutely.
So first of all, it started from the announcement in the budget by the Honorable Finance Minister, 12.75 lakhs. If you're earning, you don't need to pay any tax. Then you had a better than expected monsoon, and it's likely to stay this way according to the Met Department, which will possibly enable higher income as far as semi-urban and rural India is concerned. We have lower crude oil prices, which is a big trigger for the FMCG pack. And along with that, you have lower input cost, wherein your margins, a possibility of expansion because of the operational efficiencies that may be put into place, and that has already been put into place. And if I had to and along with that, a positive traction from not only metros, tier 1, tier 2 cities, but also a support in the volumes growth from semi-urban and rural India, given the kind of income levels and good agri-productivity. To sum it up, yes, FMCG sector is likely, and our understanding, Sakshi, is that possibly in the third quarter, October, November, December, this year, you will see positive ground level green shoots coming into this particular sector, and thereupon improvement in the earnings. So I think it's a good, it will be a good exercise if you start building your position in names like where our research team has got coverage: ITC, HUL, Tata Consumer, Godrej Consumer, Dabur, Marico, Nestle, Britannia. These are all your non-discretionary names. Then you have consumption also reflects upon the discretionary names, wherein white good appliances are there: Blue Star, Voltas, Symphony, entry-level motorcycles, entry-level four-wheelers, and then the higher end in terms of gems and jewelry.
Okay, got that. So that's the FMCG space for you. Let's discuss a little bit more on some of the other aspects. Let me discuss EMS space now. Gaurang and Prashant, I could get both of your views there. Dixon, there's news flow that the company is entering into a JV with expanding its lighting business there. It's invested 2.5 crores for a 50% stake in this new entity. We have a JP Morgan report covering EMS companies. They've initiated neutral on Amber and signed DLM. They're underweight on Avalon, but they do expect the exports, so could be the next front frontier growth for the long term with key players within the EMS companies, and Dixon, Keynes, they're all a part of this space as well, Amber too. Gaurang, how are you placed on these spaces and these companies? What is your fresh stance?
Sakshi, is this question for me? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
Yes.
So I think the entire EMS sector, given the government's focus to bring down our dependency on China and Taiwan as far as semiconductor chips or PCBs are concerned, I think this is auguring well. There was a feeling that the India-made chip semiconductor or PCBs would be out possibly by end of last year or early this year. It did not happen. I was listening into the comments from, I think, one of the ministers who said that at least by the end of this year, December 2025, we could see the launch of made in India chip, semiconductor and PCBs, which will have its own positive impact as far as this sector is concerned. Along with that, this sector is highly incentivized in terms of the PLI scheme that the government has announced. Unfortunately, we don't cover Dixon Tech, but we do have PG Electroplast in this particular sector, a company, PG Electroplast, wherein our fundamental team has a positive coverage from a long-term point of view.
Okay, PG Electroplast as a top choice. What about you, Prashant? Between Dixon, Keynes, Amber, and the rest of the players, do you have any top choices of stocks that are also good, both technically as well as fundamentally?
I think Amber can be a stock one should focus more on a trading perspective. But actually, on the valuations that I think all the 4 top companies in the EMS segments are trading very much expensive at this point of time. Q1 earnings would be a wait and watch for me. I think they should be delivering a good EBITDA margin growth as well as top line growth. If these 2 parameters meet me, then the valuation is justified to have a higher P on this space. But again, on a technical basis, Amber enterprise can have an opportunity of 5 to 6% momentum in the current levels, only based on the Q1 earnings, which I am expecting to be better.
Okay, got that's the EMS space. Let me also bring in the paint segment to discuss with both Gaurang and Prashant now. HSBC has come up with a report on paint companies. It believes the dealer incentives have achieved broad parity across players now, which is incrementally positive in terms of competitive intensity. And they are also talking about how Birla Opus Paints revenue targets of 100 billion rupees implies a high throughput per tinting machine. That's a big ask. It says they remain optimistic on the underlying growth improvement in second half of the financial year that we are in right now. They've raised the targets on Asian Paints and Berger Paints both. Let me understand from you, Gaurang. Gaurang, we have seen what has happened with Asian Paints thus far over the last 1.5 years. Impact on earnings, impact on stock price on account of heightened competitive intensity. Then there has been this recent news flow on CCI probe on any unfair practices on trades that were being employed. There was a complaint against Asian Paints. And of course, we do know that large players have entered this market that is likely to shift, if not much, but at least some of the market share as well as volumes. How would you really look at this space? What is on top of your radar within the paint segment?
So I think Asian Paint, again, we used to have coverage on Asian Paints some time back. Now I don't think we have coverage. Okay, we have a reduced coverage on Asian Paints. I think the concerns are still there, Sakshi, in terms of the contribution that comes onto the balance sheet from high-end premium products, which has seen terrible degrowth in terms of contribution to the balance sheet. So we have reduced on it. We have a reduced recommendation for our team on Asian Paints. Coverage on in this sector is focused on to Berger Paints and Kansai Narolac. One thing we need to understand is that if the real estate sector has to do well, Sakshi, then the positive performance of real estate sector falls on paint, it falls on consumer durables, that white good appliances. It also falls on positive onto high-end luxury sanitary wares and fittings in the bathrooms. It also augurs well as far as vitrified tiles are concerned or marble-related companies are concerned. And if I have to just put in forward one simple example, I think it was about 15 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks back, from where you are operating, Sakshi, DLF sold out 11,000 crores project in a matter of 10 days.
Yes.
So you can imagine what is the kind of appetite, right? And if one is able to afford that kind of a house, then definitely one can spend enough money to do up that particular house. So home decor, paints, and of course, I'm talking about only the new order market. Even if you want to do up your home, and if you've used a paint of a particular brand, and if you're very satisfied with that company, then you are again going to go and repeat that order with the same particular company. So this is the repeat order market. This is the point number two. And point number three, of course, crude oil prices are down. Though technology has made a lot of shift in for the paint companies, moving out from oil-based to water-based paints. So that impact is low, but it is definitely plays an important role in terms of input cost, lower crude oil prices.
Okay. Prashant, your take, in case I have to ask you a pecking order of preference in terms of paint stocks, what would you say?
Two picks again on technical basis. I think Asian Paints can do better from the current levels. I think I am expecting a good volume growth in the coming quarter as well. But in terms of valuation, I agree with Gaurangji again. I think Nestle, Kansai, Nerolac can be a better pick with respect to valuation in terms of P, in terms of valuations. So two pick can be on that. Fundamentally, I think Kansai, Nerolac can be a pick, and on technical basis, Asian Paints can be a better pick.
Fair point. Now, Gaurang, you were mentioning about, extreme amount of optimism when it comes to luxury sales of the real estate players. I just wanted to get a sense on the realty plays at large, because today we've seen what Sobha has recorded highest ever quarterly pre-sales of 2,000 odd crore rupees. Bangalore shares, in their sales have decreased. It's overtaken by NCR with a 49% stake, so it's expanding its presence there. Godrej Properties, Nomura has initiated coverage with a 1900 target. It believes there is a pre-sales momentum, although it believes that it's weaker than expectations and valuations look stretched. So I just wanted to get a sense of how are you looking at the real estate plays at this point, and what's your order of preference there?
So Sakshi, while the real estate play is in the spotlight or in the sweet spot for all the good reasons, in terms of selling out of projects, irrespective of what the total value of that project is, but it still remains a high beta sector. What I'm trying to say is that in good market, you will have real estate sector outperforming. In a bad market, you will have equal bad performance in terms of downward move by the real estate sector. But a lot has changed in terms of policies. Discipline has come into this particular sector. That's one of the best reasons why one should possibly look at real estate, provided you have an elevated risk appetite. So our research team covers DLF, Godrej Properties, Oberoi Realty, Shobha Limited, Prestige Estates. I believe these 4 or 5 names are strong players within the real estate sector. Second point is that these companies have very less leverage in terms of debt on the balance sheet. And the third most important point is the project completion run rate, Sakshi. On all these 3 parameters, I think these 4 or 5 companies stand very, very tall compared to the other players in the sector.
Fair point. All right, Gaurang, it's 9:30 and we have to thank you for being with us on the program today, and for helping us with all your wonderful insights. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All the best, Sakshi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, viewers, we'll continue our conversation with Prashant there. First 15 minutes of a candle out. Prashant, remember last just trading session yesterday, it was quiet for the entire session barring the last half an hour. Where the momentum spiked with a lot of banking names really supporting the move. HDFC, ICICI, Kotak, all of them also spiking, something that you marked out as well. Banking and financial, what is the role that they're going to be playing in the markets from here on, as well, is what I wanted to ask you.
So keeping the Trump tariff, far away from the momentum right now. So I think banking and NBFC 2 space can really deliver a good return in terms of short term as well as long term. Why again? I think Q1 earnings will be the highly focused sector where I am expecting a decent growth in terms of deposit as well as the loan growth. So that would be driving these sectors very much. But there will be some kind of pressure in the NIM margin as well, because the way how 3 meetings of RBI, they have reduced their interest rates, it has been passed on to the consumers and customers. So I think that will keep NIM margin under pressure. But again, now the market is focusing more on the deposit growth, how Kotak has delivered, the way how the PSU, smaller banks, they have delivered their 10 to 12% of deposit growth as well as some kind of loan growth. So market is focusing more on this type of growth rather than understanding there will be pressure in the NIM margins due to the reduction in the interest price. But overall, NBFC would be one sector where I am expecting good, AUM growth. The way how, the Q1 updates have been coming from Bajaj Housing Finance as well as Bajaj, Finance. I think these things will be morely focused. I'm very much bullish on NBFCs. If you see which would be the first sector to move faster, NBFC would be the first sector I am expecting to have a faster move.
Okay, fair point. I hope this is also given some sense to all our viewers to understand as to how to go about this space as well. Let me talk to you about auto space. I was briefly discussing this with Gaurang before you joined in, Prashant. One was a view on Tata Motors that I needed from you after the global wholesales are down by 9% to 2.99 lakh units. That's the business update that indicated. Remember, Tata Motors is one stock that has been, in a sideways zone for a very, very long time, and investors who are stuck in four digits have been just waiting for it to get back to its glory days. That's one. The other stock that I wanted to really focus on is Ola Electric, the recently listed stock. We do know that, again, this stock has been sharply lower from its all-time highs. It's down by about 70%, and it's been hovering around 40 odd levels with no signs of improvement. Today, the company has talked about and announced its rollout of its in-house developed Move OS 5 software across its S1 scooter lineup and the newly launched Roadster motorcycles as well, boosts of better performance, etc. How are you looking at an Ola Electric from the EV space, Tata Motors from the four-wheeler space?
Let's take four-wheelers first. Again, I think Tata Motors is the one company which has a global exposure, one with China, second with Europe, and again US. So the stock is waiting for a clear direction from the term tariff. So how will that affect the auto sector and their business model? So that is why this stock is consolidating from the last 2-3 months, which is trading around 660 and 690 level. On a fundamental basis, I think we are very much positive as a research house of Meta Equities. I think a very shorter period of time, the hurdle may remain because of the tariff updates. But again, I think if you see H1 as a full half year month and H2, I think Tata Motors will deliver you a good numbers in terms of YOY, and that stock may go towards 820 and 900 rupees. So we are very much bullish on Tata Motors. Yes, short term there may be some kind of consolidation period going on in Tata Motors. Ola, again, I think the updates which the company has given from the standpoint of the updating the software, that will not have a meaningful impact on the business model, I think so. But the major focus would be more on the sales figures, which they are not getting right now on month-on-month basis. I think the traditional players like Bajaj, traditional players like TVS, they are keeping this stock under pressure because they have that both traditional as well as the EV space to manage this business model. So overall, still continue to have a negative outlook on Ola for the current being. I think more downside can be seen. More focus should be on the month-on-month update data, which Ola as well as the other competitor which has listed recently, Ather. So if you compare two-wheelers on the EV space, I think Ather can be a better pick to take a risk.
Either can be a better pick at this point in time. Okay, we'll focus on that. I also wanted to get a sense on the Adani Group stocks with you, Prashant, today. Then there is brokerage houses updates coming in on these Adani Group of stocks, and that's why Adani Green, Adani Energy, they are in focus. Jefferies on Adani Energy has a buy rating, a target price of 1150, and they believe that the 61,000 crore rupee transmission project is at hand, which is up 3.6% year on year. Distribution growth, they believe, is steady in Mumbai, and Mundra having now potential to offer upside as well. Smart meter is seeing progress, they say, which is a key growth driver to the company's move as well going forward. It's trading at a 79% discount to its Jan 2023 peak, is what also it believes at this point in time. That's Adani Energy for you. That's what Jefferies has pointed out. On Adani Green also, they have maintained a buy with a target price of 1300 on the stock as well. How would you look at some of the Adani Group stocks now?
So in the space of Adani, I think we know how valuations have been played, very expensive. But again, in the expensive market, I think two stocks, Adani Port as well as Adani Power, I think in these two stocks are delivering better quarterly earnings, as well as on the valuation side, I think Adani Power can be a better pick in the power space. And Port obviously being the cash cow of the whole group, that is also doing good. Again, in terms of valuation, very comfortable to have a fresh position at the current point of time. So I think Port can deliver you good numbers for H1 and H2. Power can be a good play for on a trading basis.
Okay, ports and power, that's the space that could be watched out for. Two of the stocks within the entire group that catch Prashant's attention at this point in time. Prashant, how about the power space at large beyond Adani Power also? Are you looking at any interesting names there? There is a slow, gradual move across the board. Names like NTPC, Power Grid, they are on the move. PFC, REC is on the move. What's happening in the power space, which has been lacking any kind of luster over the last few months?
Yes, I think from last 3 to 4 months, power sector has been underperforming. Again, now I think valuations are very much comfortable to have a fresh position. I am avoiding PSU power stocks, but more focusing on the private power stocks like CESC. Again, on the valuation side, I think trading very levels of 180 levels. So CSC can be one stock one should focus more on. Again, Adani Power on the valuation side can be a second stock one should focus more on. On a Q1 earnings, I think if anyone want to have a fresh trade at current point of time, Tata Power obviously looks good at 400 rupees. There can be a 5 to 10% momentum expected on the Q1 earnings. So Power Pack very positive on a long term basis. But right now, all the four stocks which discussed right now will be focused more on the Q1 earnings. So CSC as well as Adani Power can be a good quarterly result play.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out get an understanding of the entire space as to how it is poised to move forward from here. Let me also pull up a few more pockets to be talked about as far as going back to the tariff announcements again, Prashant, that you've also highlighted. Metal space is something that I wanted to come to. Now, a 50% tariff on copper has been announced. So, how are you looking at the copper plays like Hind Copper, for instance? Earlier, there was an implementation of steel and aluminium in the same category as well. What exactly is your stance on the metal pack?
I think the rally has already happened. So now the stock is under pressure due to the headlines which you just discussed right now. I think that headlines will keep on making this sector very volatile until unless we get a very clear direction from the final statement of Mr. Trump. So I think buy on dip should be a strategy in the metal space. Even in the Hind Copper, I think anywhere between 260 can be a good level for an investor as a trader to buy Hind Copper for a good short term as well as long term. But time being, metal would be highly under watch due to the headlines which Trump is making. So overall, the volatility will continue.
Okay, overall, the volatility will continue. Another pocket that I wanted to discuss is the capital markets with you, Prashant. Over the last couple of sessions, we have seen some weakness across the board. Exchanges, brokerage houses, they have been down in trade. And this is largely after the Jane Street issue that has taken place, because with the absence of a large hedge fund, which obviously used to contribute to a lot of volumes in the derivatives, and they used to use exchanges as a platform, brokerages as a platform to carry out such large trades. These stocks had been, seeing some pressure as well. Now, of course, SEBI's move is largely to protect any unfair trade that may be hurting the retail investors at large. But just wanted to get a sense of, with this strict orders coming in from SEBI to ensure that we will not accept any kind of manipulation in the markets from any large players, because at the end of the day, we have to protect the small investors. What is the impact that you see on the capital markets, and what would your fresh stance be today? There is some improvement on the index; it's up by about 0.4%.
I think we should go back to 5-6 years, the way how Carway has done some kind of issue a few years back. So even the exchange thought that this was a loophole in the market, and then they tried to get all these pledging rules and regulations for the market, which was better for the market momentum only. So I think even this Jenny Street headlines is helping the SEBI as well as exchanges to bring in a lot of circulars to obviously you pointed it right, to support the common retail investors. So that will actually improve the market clarity, market support. I think that would give a market very sharp momentum to the long-term investors. So this event, I am very much positive. I think that has given a lot of correction in the valuations in BSC, Nuvama, Angel and all. I think again a great opportunity for a trader or a short-term, long-term investors to buy those stocks. In this space, again, I would like to go to the second step of the capital market stocks like CAMS, CDSL. That would be the stock one I am going to focus more on, because despite all this, news making, these two stocks will have some kind of good steady business model for long term. So CAMS would be one stock for investors. CDSL can also be one stock for investors to buy back. And for a trader, again, MCX looks good for me at this point of time in terms of valuation as well as on the technical basis. MCX can go back to its again 9,000, 9,300 levels for a trading perspective.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers out get a sense on the capital market story as well as to how to go about this one too. Any other key sectors that are coming in on your radar right now, Prashant? Any other key stocks that you'd like to make a mark on?
Again, I think PSU banks or real estate stocks that should be highly focused. Today, both indexes are down. Real estate is down by 1%. So I think there would be a good opportunity. One should focus, wait and watch on the Q1 earnings and then take this opportunity. In this space, again, Oberoi looks good for me on a valuation basis, on a P as well as price to book valuations. Again, on a fundamental basis, again, Godrej Properties also looks good for me on a short-term basis. Obviously, I am very much bullish on the housing as a sector. If anybody would like to have a 1 or 2 year view on the housing sector, I think Godrej Properties can be the right candidate to buy on every dips.
Okay, so that's the real estate story for you, Prashant. What about the pharma names? I wanted to reiterate a few names that are hovering higher today. Lupin is up 2.2% up. Dr. Lalpat Labs 1.9% up. Strides Pharma is higher. Syngene is up over 1%. GSK Pharma up. Advanced Enzymes. You're actually seeing buying emerge on the pharma space on the back of Donald Trump's announcement. Venus Remedy is up 5%. Markson's Pharma 2.5% higher. Loris Labs also up by 2%. So the entire space seems to be, probably moving up with that 1.5 year kind of a time window that Donald Trump is willing to extend till the time that 200% tariff comes in. So far, the space was lurking in a lot of uncertainty as to when the announcement can actually come in. The announcement has come in, but remember, with that 1.5 year time window. So, it's a thing of the future and nobody knows what happens in the future. So if US government is willing to give that much of a time of 1.5 years, I think that's the key reason where some buying is emerging on the pharma pack, so that at least for the next 1 year, investors can continue to celebrate the fundamentals, keep on looking at the domestic story as to how it plays. How would you look at pharma at this stance?
I think the worst was totally discounted in the price action as well as on the downgrades of lot of brokerage houses. So that was one trigger where the valuations were very much comfortable, and the yesterday's news of 1.5 year time limitation for the pharma company, so that give a very positive outlook for the stock immediately on a very shorter period of time. I think there will be again more focus on the earning growth again, that for 1 quarter, second quarter earning growth will obviously have a very good growth, so that will drive the stocks again on the higher levels. In this space, I would like to be a trader, not an investor, because again, Trump may change his statements every now and then. So Lupin and Cipla can be two stocks on a valuation base as well as on technical chart space. Looks good for me for a 5 to 7% momentum from the current levels.
Fair point. Okay, so that's the stance that has been shared as far as the pharma story is concerned. 9:45, we are half an hour out from the first tick today. Prashant, how would you look at the day's trade as it would pan out? We are right ahead of the weekly expiry. And of course, tomorrow onwards, we see the earnings season kickstart.
Yes, I think the markets will be more focused on TCS and other results, which will be taking place very from tomorrow. But again, it is in a very tight range. This market is trading at 25,400 levels, and upside would be 25,500 levels. So 150 points can be a range for today as well as tomorrow. So weekly close would be most important, and how Q1 earnings will kickstart from TCS and other industry leaders very soon. So more focus on the Q1 earnings, because I think Trump will keep on making his headlines that is totally discounted in the markets right now unless we get a very clear indication how India will get affected. So time being, Q1 earnings more focus, and technically I think the range is only 100 points plus or minus.
Okay, fair point. All right, Prashant, if I have to ask you, when it comes to the earnings season, what would your top choices be?
Again, NBFC would be highly focused for me. I think Bajaj Finance can deliver you good numbers. And energy stocks like Vara Energy or Suzlon Energies. So I think energy stocks will continue to deliver good results. I think we have seen Q1, Q3 earnings, Q4 earnings have been very much strongly focused, but I think Q1 earnings will also continue. So Vara Energy is the one stock which I am very much focusing right now on a Q1 earnings basis, and second would be Suzlon.
Okay, got that. Suslong will also be another one that you'll be watching out for. Thanks a lot, Prashant, for being with us on the morning edition and helping us with all your suggestions on the various sectors and pockets of the markets and how do you expect the overall move to be. It's 9:47. Let's start by winding up the morning edition of Market Today viewers now. And to help you understand as to how the market will move throughout the course of the session, we will continue to have coverage on markets and top market experts will continue to guide you on the same. 25,489 right now. We are 1/10% lower in trade on the Nifty and about a 32-point lower. So we are subdued to start off the first half an hour of trade, but several pockets have started to pick up pace on the Nifty. When we look at the top gainers on the Nifty, you will find a lot of momentum stocks, that are hovering higher despite this muted trend on the kind of frontline index. Asian Paints is higher today. HUL, Geo Finance, Shriram Finance, Cipla, those are the top 5 movers. When we look at the downside on the Nifty, you will find names like HCL Tech, Tata Steel, ICICI Bank, Infy, JSW Steel as the ones that are lagging a little bit in trade. Let me also just pull up the other sectors for you to get a sense on as to how the markets are moving. In the first half an hour of trade, you've seen the mid and the small caps outperform the benchmarks, with small caps now up by 0.4%. There is a considerable amount of decline on India VIX, 3.2% lower at 11.8. That's also comforting the market sentiment at this point in time. Autos are slightly higher. FMCG is up by 0.4%. Media, you have pharma names that are 0.25% higher in trade, healthcare names that are up, consumer durables 0.6% up in trade. What's down? Oil and gas, you have PSU and private sector banks that are down. Real estates have stocks have actually slipped about 1%. That's the top losing index right now. 0.5% loss for the IT stocks ahead of the earnings that are to come in as well. So that's how the morning market trade has really panned out. We will definitely help you with all the market moves that will shape your trade, and definitely in case you have any questions about the stocks in your portfolio, ask them away at 12 noon when we will definitely take up all your queries on daily calls with 2 experts joining in on the program as well. 1 p.m. viewers, we have a special program in case you've been interested in what's happened with Jane Street and how a large manipulated as is the allegation put in by SEBI on Jane Street, manipulated trade really carried out such a large trade, and what was the impact, and how does one really understand such moves? In case you are an active trader, an F&O trader, a derivatives person, then you must definitely catch up on to the 1 p.m. show, because we will be speaking to the whistleblower of the Jane Street issue. Stay tuned for a lot of action coming through on your screens today.
Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and you're watching Market Masters. Today with us, one of the most famous names in the Indian stock market, veteran investor and chairman and